in my business, pay him $12,000 a year. I figure at the end of the 4 years, he'll have 48 grand. Whatever he want to do with that money at 4 years, he can do with it. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
do the same thing with my other two daughters and have them set up like that. But learning those strategies and figuring out how, okay, so that's how these people are able to give their kids this money to be able to buy, whatever, start a business, buy a house, or, go on an extravagant wedding,
Mm-hmm.
honeymoon or something like that, instead of going into debt. That is super awesome.
Here's what's crazy. They start saving for kids when they're first born, and that's where those big gifts come from, right? And
Yeah.
so I've seen couples come in who were just had a baby, and for the baby shower people gave money. So they opened a bank account for their kid and opened a bank account with like, I don't know, it was $12,000 that everybody just gave money to start this fund. So if we're continuously sowing into children from 0 to 18 years old, you have this nest egg and you do with it what you see fit. So I've seen people buy their kids cars or whatever it is that you're doing. I got a lot of knowledge just from watching how people move their
So
money.
don't buy them Jordans.
You know what?
Here's the thing. I think it's about being intentional because it's not that you can't buy a child a pair of Jordans,
Jordans.
but if you buy them every pair of Jordans and
Mm.
they don't have anything else to their name, it kind of takes away that inspiration for them to look at what financial literacy can do for them, right? One of our friends gave our children stockpile for their birthdays. This was 7 years ago,
Mhm.
something like that. And what stockpile is, it's custodial accounts for stock, but you can buy fractional shares of stock. So instead of giving them cash or toys for a birthday, we got this little, like, it looks like a little stock certificate, and they don't do them anymore, but they used to print them out. You give them to them, and it looks like they're getting an old school stock certificate.
Mm.
But it could be $20, it could be $10, it could be $5 worth of, and you get to pick the stock.
Mm.
So they put us on to that, and I was like, hold on, this is something that we could really get into. So what we started doing is, every birthday, and everybody doesn't do it. Still, a lot of people buy toys, but hey, if you want to buy them something, buy them $20 worth of stockpile or buy them whatever. And then as they start to amass this kind of stock portfolio, we can explain to them what they own. So,
Mm.
like, our children own Centerpoint. So when we have a
That's
winter
important.
storm and we see Centerpoint stock go up, we're like, yeah, I know the power might be out, but here's where you're making money. Or, your dad bought him Pfizer when COVID happened because,
Smart.
vaccines or whatever. So we're looking at the daily events and we're saying, how does this play into your everyday living? And how can you make money off of it? So instead of buying them Jordans, maybe you buy them one pair of Jordans and the equivalent amount of money in Nike stock.
Mm.
Maybe you make sure that, okay, yeah, I spent 120 on these shoes, but I also bought you $20 worth of stock, so you see how your money spent actually invest into your future.
Yeah, and what also inspired that entrepreneur mindset? Because not everybody has that. Not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. You have a lot of people that would rather work for somebody,
I
and
would
that
say not everybody needs to be an entrepreneur.
not everybody needs to be
Yeah.
an
That's true.
entrepreneur. But it's clear here that if you have somebody, your wife, with that entrepreneur's mindset that gives you that passion, you can create something that's really successful. So what inspired that entrepreneurship nature inside of you?
Because you could have stayed working at
You
the
could
bank.
have stayed working at the bank.
Well, the bank was the first job. She had
Yeah, it was
many
I
other
had jobs
jobs.
after
Oh, I
that.
had tons
But
of jobs
hey,
too.
without that first job, you probably wouldn't have even
That is
gone this
true.
path.
That's true.
That is very, very true. So yeah, a lot of times most entrepreneurs are dreamers, right? And people get stuck dreaming. I'm a dreamer, straight up dreamer. I got big dreams.
Same.
Kevin is a doer, right? So Kevin is gonna get it done. If I dream it, he gonna go and build it. And so I've been blessed. We've been blessed to have that perfect balance of somebody who sees big and somebody who does it big.
Mm.
So if it were up to me, I would continuously be reading books and making small moves. But because he has the ability, the capability to get things done and see things to the finish line, it's this beautiful partnership.
Yeah.
And
Like me and
see,
Chris.
my my thing was never the big dream, right? It was always I liked